So what I do is a local show that can talk about local issues and national issues, mix it up with callers on both types of issues and be versatile and fast on its feet. And on my way in, I mean, we kind of got a morning full service thing, and are you kidding? I love my own station, but there's exactly one guy doing what I do in morning drive. So he doesn't really know it, but he does know it, I tell him. He's a whole lot of my show prep. So as I bring him to the stage, I both introduce him and thank him for much of my material, because it's a really good thing to be on after you've had the chance to listen to Jeff Bolton Mornings on 570 KLIF. Thank you, brother.
Wow. Thank you, Mark. I gotta be honest with all of you, as I always am. I'm pretty normal, and I didn't really know much about man love before tonight, but boy, I'm feeling it now. Woo! I actually put something on paper tonight, which is pretty rare for me, and I set a timer. As you know, we can only speak in 8-minute segments before our heads go off and they come in and crank us up again. And so I actually wrote a couple of things down. I used a timer. Now, I know that some of you, if I weren't speaking right now, you'd go, that's not that guy, because you're used to seeing the very rare photographs of me, and there's not many out there in a shower cap and slippers, because that's what all morning people wear to work. So I scared some of you when I walked in, and you thought you had a warrant out, and some of you probably do, but I'm not here to take you in. I do want to do this. I do want to set a timer, because I promised these guys that I would not exceed my time limit. And I want to tell you just a couple of things, and I'll be brief about it. The first one is this. One of the things that you see in the people that are here tonight, see, I'm not used to wearing a suit. It feels odd. Many of you people wear suits to work? Man alive, that feels strange. Phil, you're pulling off the suit. I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. One of the things that means the most to me in my personal faith and in my journey and in my Christian life is the Bible verse that says you will know them by their fruit. And more than any other organization that's out there today, people know the Tea Party by its fruit, because our fruit today is that we're gracious to people and we're winning. Listen, there's no substitute for success, so they will know us by our fruit, and I try to live by that and stay by that. Now, I want to say something else about Farmers Branch, and then I'm going to give you the history of the I'm going to give you the history of the world and the Tea Party movement in 8 minutes. 8 minutes. You remember, how many of you remember Mel Brooks' History of the World? Okay, well, that's what I'm going to give you on the Tea Party in 8 minutes. But I want to say this about Farmers Branch, and you will know them by their fruit category. I was raised here in Garland and Mesquite. I'm from Texas, my home. And I felt then and now very deeply moved and compelled by an unbelievably courageous knot of people that grew very quickly in Farmers Branch and said, we can be lawful without being mean. We can care about our community without being ugly. We can stand up for our rights without trampling on other people. And it has taken tremendous courage in Texas to do that, to stand up against the kind of lawlessness that's represented by the very evil of human trafficking and what you see today happening with illegal immigration and illegal aliens. It's not just America that suffers from illegal aliens, but the very human beings that are coming over here are suffering mightily. The 74 people that were found in the death field, those are illegal aliens who refused to work for a cartel in Mexico. So the sin is not just here in America, it's there too. And the people in Farmers Branch said, we're doing a disservice to ourselves by allowing it, and we're doing a disservice to those human beings by allowing it. So you know what I did? I moved there. We looked, and we looked, and we looked, and we made a choice to move to Farmers Branch. That is my home. That is my hometown now. And by the way, somebody wanted to pass a message to Farmers Branch. It may have been you, Mark. The mayor, he babysits my dogs, so I'll pass it to Mayor O'Hare. I'll pass that on to him on that bumper sticker. I'm not kidding you. We had to go out of town. We were stuck one time. I'm like, what are we going to do with our man-killer German Shepherd and our little bitty dog? And he called one day, and I told him we were leaving. He's like, well, what are you doing with your dogs? I said, well, I don't know. We're going to kennel them. He said, nah, just bring them over. We'll keep them. That's Farmers Branch for you. Amen for Farmers Branch! I love my hometown. All right, history of the world and the Tea Parties. This is a Southern Baptist version. Those of you raised in Texas will probably raised Southern Baptist, which means we'll be brief, we'll be bright, and be gone. That's the way Southern Baptist is. You all know that. History of the world. And then I'm going to tell you about Blowout Congress, which Phil asked me to tell you about, and we'll be done. And the timer says, oh, I forgot to turn it on. I really did. See, I never used one. Okay, what, maybe 2 minutes so far? Start. Now it's 10 minutes. Really didn't mean to do that. Okay. History of the World, Part 1 of the Tea Parties. You are hearing a book that I'm writing right now that's going to be a bestseller, not because I'm writing it, but because it's the truth. You got to remember something. The truth, another favorite thing from the Bible, the truth is a winnowing fork. The truth always shines through to people. It's why you're in the room. It's why we're here. 3 things for you, the 3 G's. Great Depression, Great Society, Great Recession. Those 3 elements together have driven our country to the brink of bankruptcy. We are in every meaningful way today cash flowing our country. We're so big and so powerful that we can cash flow our country. We are $14 trillion in short-term debt. Because of the president and the first lady, they're like teenagers with America's credit card. We have a Congress behind them that we'll talk about in a second that is so corrupt and is so inefficient and is so self-interested that they have led our nation to a place it has never been before in history. Not even close. Not even close. And so as you look at those 3 things that have happened, Great Depression, Great Society, and Great Recession, they were caused by excessive spending in most of these cases. And all of us know this by now. This is not new history. There's nothing new here at work except to say this. The numbers today are so significant that they're unsustainable by any nation on earth. Even the Chinese couldn't have our debt right now. And if we don't stop and understand with great clarity, we have to fix it, and we have to fix it immediately before the next several years, then the world as we know it is finished. We will declare bankruptcy. By the year 2024, in 14 years, our entire federal budget, the entire federal budget, will be devoted to exactly 3 things. Interest on our debt, Medicare and Medicaid, and Social Security. That's it. No military, no interstate highways, no Homeland Security, nothing. That's the math. That's Congressional Budget Office, by the way. Not any think tanks. That's the Budget Office. It's a solid number. So what are we to do about that? The reason the Tea Parties matter in the history that's being written that several of our speakers have referred to today is very simple. And I put them down as the 3 R's, and it is what we've started. It's revival, it's reform, and it's rebirth. And what we have to do, and what it is our sacred duty to do, is to represent our families first. We live properly. We keep our word to people. We live honestly. Doesn't mean that we live frugally, because we're supposed to be about making money in a capitalist society, and we should be doing that. But one of the things that we have to understand is we represent all of you in this room something much greater than yourselves. And that is today in Iraq and Afghanistan and at sea and all across this world, into the low millions, you have people in service in the military and their families, and they have no voice. They take a vow of political science when they're running and when they're operating for this country. Who speaks for them? And the answer is that we do. And so what I want you to understand about the Tea Parties is very simple. The reason the Tea Parties are succeeding is because what we're doing is truthful. At its very core, it's truthful. You may look at it and say, well, it's the bad guys say it's based on anger. They're just a bunch of angry white people and other sort of things. Those are just silliness. Don't even respond to it. But at its core, it's truth. And that's why you're in the room. Why else would you be here? We don't put our faith in men anymore. Why would we do that? Speaking of the Word of God, it says don't put your faith in men. We don't put our faith in politicians anymore. There's a reason for that. So many of them are of such poor moral character, we wouldn't want them to be in the same room with us. Think about that. Think of the enormity of the people that represent our interests at the most basic level, and we wouldn't want anything to do with them. Wow, what a breathtaking thing. So the good news is for us today, we found each other. And what we found in each other was not the biggest or the strongest or the fastest army. I mean, you're good-looking people, but I doubt if many of us could run a mile very quickly today. I will remind you that all great wars of the mind are not won by the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but by the willing. It's also the difference of the Tea Parties. And it's what you have to take home, it's what you have to go to bed with at night, and it's what you have to get up with the next day and understand. It is the willing. We might look around and we might canvass all these neighborhoods and we might go, wow, that guy looks impressive, or that lady looks like she's got a lot of skills we could use. Those people aren't here. You are. We are. And so as we head towards November, it becomes a very simple thing to understand. We either fight for our rights or we lose them. It's a black and white issue. And as long as we're operating in truth, we win. BlowOutCongress.com is something I started concurrently when the Tea Party started. In fact, I remember having conversations with the leadership of the Tea Party very early. People have said, well, why don't you guys merge together? What we do is different. We're sympathetic to each other, and they belong to us, and we belong to them in an intellectual and a spiritual sense, and we attend each other's events, and we donate to each other. What we're doing at BlowOutCongress.com is we've looked at the data, and the data says, and don't fall out of your chair on me because you'll want to go throw up in the grass when I tell you this, 42% of Congress, 535 members today, 42% of them have been there for more than 20 years. 42%. Almost within 8% of half have been there for more than 20 years. Now, that becomes exponentially evil because of the seniority system. You all know that if you can survive long enough, that doesn't matter if you are the biggest incompetent boob in the land, you will get a chairmanship. And then you will consolidate power, and you will become tremendously influential, despite the fact that you may be a raving moron. And they're there. Look, it's the truth. If it wasn't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And so when you look at the enormity of the survival plus the seniority, it has put us in a position where, going back now to Lyndon Baines Johnson, Great Society, we have debt we can't sustain. Social spending as a government function is a spectacular failure, and we are going to put an end to it. Three minutes and 30 seconds. And I want to say this to you. You're going to see, well, they're back there right now. Y'all can turn around and look at them. They look like they got lost on the way to a Secret Service convention. Do you see those guys, those two back there? You hear me talk about them all the time. That's Cliffy and Oscar. It's the Cliffy and Oscar show. They are both military veterans. They're on the leadership team at BlowOutCongress.com. And they are tremendous people. Please give them a round of applause. We've targeted the very worst Congress people that need to go. We know how to get to them. We know how to get the word out about them. And we too are going through our fundraising cycle at BlowOutCongress.com and hope you will support us. Let me say one last thing, and then I'll be done. See, I'm not used to people clapping. Forgive me if I still talk when you do it. Mark's got a live studio audience. You know, he's in the Hollywood shift, of course, and I get up at 3 in the morning, and you know, Mark comes in strolling in at 8, and then the audience comes in behind him. So it throws me off to hear you clap. Like I said, normally I'm in the shower cap, and I'm like, what's that noise? So I do want to tell you this. It is very, very important, and I want to give you what I would most fairly call, and I try to give to myself and my family, and in the way that I live, I want to give you the clearest call that I can. We have no right, all of us in this room, not one of us has the right to call for the removal and the dismissal of the other side unless we are willing to be harder on ourselves than we are on them. We have to be more upright, more moral, more thoughtful. Everything that we do from here on out, and as it has been in the Tea Party for the last 2 years since they began, must be unambiguously moral and upright. It is the only way we'll win. Because if we are going to operate like the other side does, in lies and deception and in ways and things that are very vile to our nature, if we're going to operate like they are, why is anybody going to vote for us? If conservatives go in and aren't conservatives, what will be left? And the answer is, we will. It's us. So hold yourselves, hold me, hold the Tea Parties, hold everybody around us to the highest standards of conduct. It's the only way we're going to win. And we're going to operate in truth, and one day we're all going to wake up and look back, as I believe Mark referred to earlier, and go, wow, we did something there. And we will have done a lot. God bless you all.
That's Jeff Bolton right there.